Lateline recently highlighted the plight of intellectually disabled people who are unfit to plead and end up in maximum security jails indefinitely. We focused on two men, Christopher Leo and Kerry Doolan, who have spent many years without conviction in an Alice Springs jail. Now, according to their legal guardian, Ian McKinlay, it seems the Northern Territory government is preparing the men for their transfer out of the jail to facilities run by the Health Department. However, Mr McKinlay, a former Northern Territory policeman, says there is no plan for the many other intellectually disabled prisoners in jails in the Territory and across the country. As Suzanne Smith reports, a legal team will soon start a High Court challenge to the laws, which affect 100 people across the country. This story is produced by Alison McClymont.
Lateline broadcast this disturbing story last month. On a scrubby, isolated stretch of the Stuart Highway, 20 kilometres from town, sits the maximum security Alice Springs jail. Kerry has been in jail for 4 years without conviction. Christopher is coming up to his 5th year. Both men are thought to have been born with fetal alcohol syndrome.
While ever they're in prison, more harm has been done, and that's my firm belief.
And you want him to come out so you can see him more.
Legal guardian Ian McKinlay has been campaigning for 3 years to have these mentally ill patients transferred out of jail. Ian McKinlay received some early advice that Kerry Doolan is now on a day release program from prison and is being prepared to be transferred out of jail into a secure care facility next door run by the Health Department. He says there is good news for Christopher Leo as well.
After the Lateline show, I've heard that there is a day release program being prepared for Christopher Leo as his guardian, and that's good news, and hopefully that will lead to his transition to the secure facility, which will be hopefully marginally better than being in maximum security prison.
But Ian McKinlay is worried about another 4 intellectually disabled inmates left in the Alice Springs and Darwin jails. On the Lateline program, the Deputy Chief Minister of the NT, Delia Lawrie, made this commitment about moving the men out of jail.
And I'm certainly told that it'll be a staggered, each individual person will be, sort of transitioned into the new facilities, and extra people will come in as the individual who's first in settles and becomes accustomed to the new environment.
But Ian McKinlay says he cannot get the same commitment from the Health Department in the Northern Territory.
She was poorly advised that there's no intention to transfer them all to the new facilities whatsoever. I think it's just politically expedient that, depending on who the audience is, as to what they'll say. I don't think there's any real intention to provide any alternatives to prison for those who are currently in prison.
The Northern Territory government may be forced into finding alternatives if a High Court challenge to the NT laws is successful. The constitutional challenge will be lodged in the next few weeks, and it could affect all states and territories. Professor Patrick Keyzer is part of the legal team.
I think it's outrageous that a country that has as much wealth as Australia that there are any governments in Australia that are engaging in this practice. These men need social services, they need health services, they need therapy.
Dr Keyzer says approximately 100 people who have not been convicted of a crime or have served their sentences are being held indefinitely in jails across the country because governments do not want to pay for mental health facilities. In a statement, the NT government would not confirm when the prisoners would be released, but said funding to mental health services had doubled to $42 million since 2001. Suzanne Smith, Lateline.
And the Northern Territory government declined Lateline's offer of an interview. However, as we mentioned in our story, it did provide a statement, the full text, which will be available on our website shortly.